Enter our realm of empathy and understanding, a sanctuary where we delve into the intricate tapestry of relationships and cultivate connections that stand the test of time. Ascending to the rooftop, Gabriel, oblivious to all sound, commenced the task of mending it with a hammer. Occasionally, an elderly man of around 80, stationed below, would offer gentle reprimands. Progress flowed smoothly, and upon its completion, grandson and grandfather ventured indoors, their spirits gratified. Their roots ran deep in this humble town. Since Gabriel was 5 years old, Mr. Evans had raised him. The elder man's son and daughter-in-law had perished in a fire, leaving Mr. Evans to continue his shifts in the gold mines. Upon the subsequent tragedy that left Gabriel orphaned, Mr. Evans took upon himself the mantle of guardian. He devoted himself to raising the boy into a virtuous man. Gabriel had already traversed military service, returned to his hometown, and secured employment with a local farmer. Yet, one concern lingered in Mr. Evans' heart. He longed to glimpse his great-grandchildren, yet Gabriel remained unwed. Encouraging his grandson to survey the local girls, Mr. Evans remained oblivious to the fact that Gabriel's heart had long been claimed and that a girl from years past still held his affection. Gabriel's journey with Madison began fresh out of the army. She worked at a grocery store, her beauty matched by her intelligence. So deeply had Gabriel fallen for her that he began searching for an engagement ring in secret. Yet, with a suddenness that left him reeling, she declared her lack of love and any prospects for their shared future. Departing for the city in pursuit of a brighter life, Madison shattered Gabriel's dreams. 3 years passed, yet Gabriel's love for Madison remained steadfast, for the heart's desires hold an unyielding sway. A month later, the rooftop was unexpectedly restored, a fortuitous event that coincided with Madison's return to town. Not alone, but accompanied by her 1-year-old daughter. News reached Mr. Evans through a neighbor, and his reaction was laced with frustration. He had little affection for the young woman, nor for her family. Madison's mother had succumbed to the clutches of alcohol, leaving her daughter an orphan. Her aunt, despite being in her 60s, cycled through numerous companions. When Gabriel and Madison's relationship had dissolved years prior, Mr. Evans had felt relieved. Now, anxiety gnawed at him, fearing Madison might re-enter his grandson's life. Conducting a candid conversation with Gabriel, Mr. Evans aimed to ensure that thoughts of rekindling their romance were laid to rest. Gabriel's response, a serene smile accompanied by assurances that the past was truly behind him, alleviated his grandfather's worries. Satisfied, Mr. Evans retired for the night, though sleep proved elusive for Gabriel. Memories of his love resurfaced, quickening his heart's rhythm. Days elapsed, leading to a chance encounter on the streets. Madison, accompanied by her daughter Lily, crossed paths with Gabriel as he made his way to work. Greeting him with a mixed smile, she introduced him to her child. The interaction was marked by awkward silence, and as Gabriel continued his journey, he felt her gaze lingering on him. Their paths crossed repeatedly over the next days, and Gabriel detected a sorrowful glint in Madison's eyes, their depths welling with unshed tears. One evening, as he made his way home from work, Gabriel spotted her sitting on a bench alongside her daughter. Rain had begun to fall, distant thunder echoing, prompting Gabriel to advise her to hurry home. In response, Madison broke into tears, sharing that she had nowhere to go. Her aunt had ejected her and Lily from the house. Touched by compassion, Gabriel extended his hand. Approaching them, he gently patted Lily's head and offered Madison a chance to stay with him, should she agree. The tears evaporated as Madison whispered her shame for her past actions, revealing her newfound realization of her deep feelings for Gabriel. She expressed her willingness to journey to the ends of the earth for him. A joyous smile spread across Gabriel's face, accompanied by a playful wink to Lily, who observed the adults with keen interest. Swiftly collecting their belongings from Madison's aunt's yard, they returned to Gabriel's home. Thus, the four of them began a shared life together. While Mr. Evans could hardly tolerate Madison's presence and often retreated to his room to avoid her, he found solace in Lily's company. He regaled her with tales of fantasy and spent quality time playing with her. Gabriel's happiness seemed complete, his cherished Madison by his side. However, their joy was short-lived as Mr. Evans fell gravely ill less than half a year later. Calling Gabriel to his bedside, the old man conveyed that his time had come, expressing his immense love for his grandson. With a heavy heart, he cautioned Gabriel about Madison's intentions, suspecting she harbored sinister thoughts. Gabriel responded with a silent embrace, staying by his grandfather's side until the early hours, gently wiping away tears. As dawn broke, Mr. Evans passed away, enveloping Gabriel in a profound sense of grief. Madison stood by his side at the funeral, offering solace through her touch, though it went unnoticed by the attendees. Her face bore a smile as she left the cemetery. In the wake of Mr. Evans' death, Madison broached the idea of selling the house and relocating to the city. She highlighted the educational prospects for Lily and the potential for better job opportunities for Gabriel. However, Gabriel staunchly refused to part with the house. Soon after, Madison's mood shifted, veering towards sadness and silence, punctuated by expressions of dissatisfaction with Gabriel's earnings. Determined to see his wife content, Gabriel embarked on a second job as a taxi driver in his free hours. Madison's spirits lifted as Gabriel generously shared nearly all of his earnings with her. Balancing his day job and the night shifts took a toll, leaving him weary during the day and barely awake at the wheel during night drives. This pattern of overwork took a toll on his well-being. One rainy autumn evening, disaster struck as his car skidded on a slick road, flipped over, and landed in a ditch. At the hospital, rescue workers had to extract Gabriel from the mangled wreckage of his car. Doctors waged a determined battle for Gabriel's life, undertaking a lengthy surgery that spanned hours. Subsequently, he spent a month confined to the intensive care unit. His spine had suffered injury, accompanied by severe internal organ damage. While the immediate threat to his life subsided, the prognosis was somber. The medical team candidly informed him that his path to recovery would entail extensive rehabilitation, consistent use of pain relief medication, and an uncertain outcome regarding his ability to walk again. Upon receiving this news, Madison emitted a disheartened groan. Her initial response was to announce her lack of funds on that particular day. Remarkably absent from her husband's hospital room, a pattern consistent with her infrequent visits, she maintained that the sight of him was challenging for her. By the time she eventually brought Gabriel home, his physical state had deteriorated to the point where standing or even speaking were beyond his capabilities. For the subsequent 2 months, Madison served as his caretaker. She then proposed the idea of selling their house and channeling the proceeds into comprehensive rehabilitation programs at esteemed clinics. Assuring them a place to stay, Madison's aunt empathized with their predicament. Gabriel, driven by the desire to regain his health, acquiesced to the swift sale of their home in order to minimize undue inconvenience. Madison suggested putting the house in her name, a suggestion Gabriel didn't interpret as deceit from his beloved. The following day, she arrived with a notary to formalize the transfer of ownership. Gabriel, trusting and devoted, didn't hesitate to sign the papers. Subsequently, a buyer was secured, a young woman who engaged in hushed conversations with Madison before glancing into Gabriel's room, where he lay bedridden. Without catching their dialogue, Gabriel bore witness to Madison convincing the buyer to finalize the purchase. A substantial discount was promised in return for agreeing to care for the invalid patient, who, Madison asserted, had only a few months left to live. Financial constraints beset the buyer, compounded by an asthmatic child's health requirements. Hence, she acceded to the deal, deeming a house in a small town with fresh air essential. Having secured the funds, Madison left the house the same day. No intention of reconciliation with her aunt in sight, she simply deserted Gabriel, ignoring his ceaseless calls. The subsequent day heralded the arrival of the new homeowner along with her young son. Promptly responding to Gabriel's inquiries about Madison's whereabouts, she expressed confusion and noted that Madison had already received payment for the house. Stunned by this revelation, Gabriel whispered that such a scenario contradicted their plans to allocate the money to his rehabilitation. As the initial shock waned, Gabriel engaged in conversation with the new owner, Paisley, sharing life's twists and turns that had brought them together. Notably, Paisley had brought some herbs along and provided Gabriel with a decoction. Revealing her grandmother's expertise in herbalism, she imparted a fraction of that knowledge before retiring for the night. Gabriel soon realized he had navigated the evening without requiring painkillers. This marked the inception of their friendship, sparking within him an unexpected thirst for life. Stricken with guilt for leaving Gabriel without the promised rehabilitation, Paisley undertook to frequently massage him, seeking to alleviate his pain. Amidst the challenges, Gabriel's resolve occasionally wavered, leading him to question the futility of his efforts. However, Paisley remained steadfast in her approach, employing herbs, massages, and gentle exercises. After several months of unwavering dedication, signs of progress finally emerged. Gabriel regained movement in his limbs, eventually mustering the strength to stand and then, triumphantly, to take his first steps. This was an undeniable victory, one that laid the foundation for a remarkable journey. 2 years down the line, Gabriel and Paisley tied the knot. The profound bond they had forged during those transformative months became the cornerstone of their relationship. As they exchanged vows on their wedding day, the notion of a life without each other seemed unfathomable. Amidst the celebrations, a neighbor named Mrs. Bryant discreetly handed Gabriel an envelope. Whispering that it contained a letter from his grandfather, she explained that it was meant to be given to him only once Madison was no longer a part of his life. Reading the contents of the letter left him stunned. In the missive, his grandfather revealed that he had concealed a cache of gold beneath the ancient maple tree, the fruits of his labor during his time in the gold mines. Gabriel had used the treasure to purchase the neighboring fields, transitioning into a successful farmer and cultivator of organic produce. Several years after this newfound success, Paisley gave birth to a son, cementing their growing family. One day, as Gabriel visited a local farmer's market for business purposes, an unexpected encounter occurred. He crossed paths with Madison, though he didn't immediately recognize her. She appeared disheveled and markedly changed. Madison, however, immediately recognized Gabriel, and her complexion paled. She reverted to her previous habit of lamenting her life's woes. Gabriel acknowledged that the ill-gotten money hadn't brought her happiness, yet he refrained from responding. He chose to turn away and continue on his own path, his mind preoccupied with a simple goal: buying peaches. Meanwhile, Paisley's request had been fulfilled, as she was pregnant once again, with doctors predicting the arrival of a daughter. I hope you enjoyed watching and listening to my story. It was my pleasure to share it with you. If you liked it, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more stories in the future. And if you have any thoughts or questions about this story, feel free to leave them in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and see you soon.